Salut à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans cette édition spéciale consacrée à cette levée de drapeau de l'Union africaine. Et aujourd'hui, c'est un moment historique pour toute l'Union africaine. C'est la raison pour laquelle elle est assez, je dirais même super bien représentée en plein cœur du Canada. Et en ce lieu, à savoir l'Assemblée législative ontarienne. C'est bien sûr en plein cœur de Toronto. Pour ceux qui sont encore à la maison, qui hésitent encore, retrouvez-nous au 111 Wellesley Street, c'est bien sûr à Toronto. Et avec moi pour parler, pour échanger au sujet de cette levée de drapeau de l'Union africaine, nous avons un membre de l'Union africaine et qui, lui, est parti de l'Afrique et bien sûr du monde entier où il a certainement travaillé, partagé l'expérience et surtout échangé avec toute la nation, les nations qui participent à l'Union africaine. Et aujourd'hui, il se retrouve en plein cœur du Canada. Il m'a confié que c'était une première expédition au Canada. Et je suis sûr que c'est toujours un plaisir d'arriver dans ce chaleureux et beau pays qu'est le Canada. Bonsoir, monsieur Cissé Kané.
Bonsoir.
Allez, dis-nous déjà rapidement, de bout en blanc, quelques jours au Canada. Comment vous vous sentez?
Je me sens bien, j'ai été bien accueilli, aussi par le soleil.
En plein été. Oui.
Supposed to look at their achievements as well as their failures. And on an occasion like the 55th anniversary of that union, it behoves on all of us, Africans for that matter, to look back and look forward. Don't keep on looking back, but as you look back, tell yourself that there's a future for us, and Africa has a future. And I believe Africa will rise again. It began from Africa, went to Europe, and went to America, and now it is with China. It is coming back to Africa.
As well, coming together to function together. You'll be hearing a lot of interesting things that has been happening in the continent, and we are also very happy that we have a delegation from the African Union that came from Addis Ababa and also from Switzerland, representing the African Union Commission, and we have one of stand up.
So it's an opportunity for us to look at where we have been. It's easy to forget that just half a century ago we were still getting just out of the shackles of colonialism and all of these things. So it's easy to sometimes get lost in some of the narrative that gets written, but I think over the last half century we've accomplished quite a lot. As Macaulay has said, you need to come to Africa to observe the continent for yourselves. It is not the Africa of the narrative that you see on TV. It's an Africa that is on the move, an Africa that is active, an Africa that is driven by the force of its own people and its own youth. So it is a particular honor for me to be here to take part in this flag raising ceremony on behalf of the African Union. And with those words said, I will now proceed to read the message from His Excellency the Chairperson of the African Union Commission. So the message is entitled Strengthening the Relationship Between the African Union and the African Diaspora in Canada. Migration has long been an integral feature of the African experience. The allure of economic opportunities in more developed countries, combined with the occasional political, humanitarian, or security push factors, means that the African diaspora is large and growing. The effects of migration, notably brain drain and its debilitating impact on the continent's developmental agenda, are far-reaching and well-documented. It is equally true, however, that migration, when leveraged effectively to promote investments, knowledge building, and skill transfers, can power accelerated economic growth on the African continent. Diaspora engagement, therefore, is a strategic priority for the African Union. Indeed, the Constitutive Acts of the AU declares that it shall invite and encourage the full participation of the African diaspora as an important part of our continent in the building of the African Union. At the continental level, this commitment is apparent in the work of the African Union Commission's Directorate of Citizens and Diaspora Organizations, CEDAW, which is mandated to build the capacity of AU member states to develop strategies to harness the enormous talent and treasure of the African diaspora in support of the socio-economic agenda of the continent. Case studies of successful diaspora engagement, such as in China and India, provide a template for African governments, many of whom have now established separate ministries, departments, and agencies of government with the specific mandates of engaging the African diaspora. Indeed, countries such as Rwanda, Ghana, and Ethiopia have earned praise for the depth of their engagements and their readiness to put in place policy frameworks that encourage and facilitate diaspora participation. In addition, many African diplomatic missions now operate dedicated diaspora desks as a means of creating a more direct link with their respective diaspora communities. This work, however, is neither simple nor devoid of risk. Progress is sometimes held up by a lack of trust between diaspora groups and governments back in the home countries. To foster a more effective collaboration between AU member states and the African diaspora, the African Union held the first Global African Diaspora Summit in Johannesburg in South Africa on Africa Day 2012. Representatives of diaspora groups from all over the world worked in concert with the AU Commission and AU member states to produce a continental roadmap for diaspora engagement. While a lot more remains to be done, the AU Commission has made significant progress in strengthening the relationship with the diaspora community and creating viable partnerships to support the continent's development. Diaspora networks such as the AU6RC here in Canada, as well as others, are now in place to guide and coordinate diaspora-led development initiatives in the Caribbean, in the Americas, and other places around the world. I am pleased to report that today, on Africa Day 2018, the African Union will officially inaugurate the African Union, the 6th region, Canada, AU6RC, to institutionalize the AU's relationship with the African diaspora community here in Canada, and to establish a platform to increase the impact of development initiatives led by Canada-based diaspora organizations in Africa. This formal relationship will also serve to enhance the participation of the African diaspora community in Canada in the affairs of the African Union. The strong relationships that the AU continues to maintain with the African diaspora community around the world, including here in Canada, provide an excellent platform to build on as the AU Commission continues to work hand in hand with the African diaspora to give practical meaning to the AU Diaspora initiative. Thank you.
So just as you've heard, you know, this occasion is very important. As you heard, the African Union establishing that strong tie between the African Union 6th region here in making sure that all the African diaspora community in Canada are well recognized and working together to achieve a common goal as expected by the African Union. You were supposed to clap for that one more time. That's something, it's a long way coming to have that kind of level of recognition is long expected. So just as you heard, life began in Africa. We don't have debate about that. And so I always remind people, if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going to. So it doesn't matter what you think about Africa. If you've never traveled down there, please go. You'll be shocked and surprised. It's not so much about what you see in the media, but the continent of Africa is wonderful. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people, and well developed. If you don't understand, technology is booming more. We're actually leading in technology than the rest of the world, you know. And so it's a place that, you know, it's doing a great thing. And so I want